Every decision you make becomes part of an invisible architecture, an internal blueprint of your destiny that you are constantly building, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people imagine destiny as something delivered to them from the outside, something that arrives someday, shaped by circumstances or luck or the approval of others. But destiny has never worked that way. Destiny is not a force that finds you. It is a structure you create through the choices you make when no one is watching. It grows quietly, decision by decision, long before you ever see its results. Think about the seemingly small choices you made this morning. The decision to get out of bed or hit snooze. The decision to face something difficult or postpone it. The decision to show up slightly better or slightly worse than you did yesterday. You didn't feel the impact of those choices instantly. That's the dangerous part. The consequences of small decisions don't shout, they whisper. And because they whisper, you underestimate how powerful they are. But your future hears every whisper. Your future responds to every single decision you make, whether it feels significant or not. Every choice becomes a direction, a signal, a message you send forward in time, telling the future which version of yourself you are choosing to become. And even the smallest decisions compound, stacking themselves like layers of stone in a foundation you will eventually stand on. You may think your life changes because of one big moment, but the truth is, those big moments are almost always the result of thousands of smaller choices you made long before. The moment you break through, the moment you succeed, the moment you transform, it didn't happen suddenly. It was built slowly, silently in the background of your own behavior. Every time you chose discipline over distraction, every time you acted with integrity, every time you resisted the easy path, you were writing another line in the architecture of your destiny. And the same is true in the opposite direction. Every time you avoid the uncomfortable truth, every time you betray your own potential by choosing the convenient instead of the meaningful, you carve a different kind of future, one that shrinks rather than expands. People don't end up stuck because of one catastrophic mistake. They end up stuck because of 100 tiny decisions they didn't take seriously. Those small decisions become habits. Those habits become patterns. And those patterns harden into a life they didn't consciously choose but unconsciously created. This is why awareness matters so deeply. When you become aware that your daily choices are creating the timeline you will eventually walk into, those choices stop feeling small. They begin to feel sacred. You start to understand that choosing honesty over avoidance is not a small decision. Choosing discipline over laziness is not a small decision. Choosing long-term meaning over short-term pleasure is not a small decision. These are the decisions that shape character, and character shapes destiny. What you repeatedly choose becomes who you are, and who you are determines the future you attract. People think fate is mysterious, but fate is simply the logical outcome of consistent behavior. Your future self, the version of you who is stronger, wiser, more aligned, cannot emerge from weak choices. That future self is built from the decisions you are making right now, in this very moment. Imagine two versions of your future standing side by side. One version is everything you fear becoming, the version shaped by avoidance, by excuses, by settling for less. The other version is everything you hope to become, the version shaped by courage, by intention, by discipline. You are not magically chosen for one destiny or the other. You are selecting one with every choice you make today. You are not becoming your future in one giant leap. You are becoming it in fragments, in moments, in decisions. The architecture is already forming even when you think nothing is happening. That is why you can't afford to underestimate the power of a single choice, because every choice is a vote for the person you will soon meet. And the truth is simple. Your future isn't waiting to be discovered, it's waiting to be built. There is a moment in every person's life when they finally understand that their decisions are not isolated events floating in time. They are connected threads, forming a pattern that eventually becomes the story of who they are. And the deeper truth is that these decisions are not made in the rational mind alone. They arise from the unconscious layers of your being, from beliefs you never questioned, from fears you never confronted, from wounds you never healed. People imagine they are consciously choosing their path, but often their path is choosing them because they have never examined the forces shaping their choices. You decide based on what you think you deserve. You walk toward opportunities based on how worthy you believe you are. You stay in situations based on what you fear losing. Your decisions become mirrors, reflecting your inner landscape long before you recognize it. This is why self-awareness is not optional, it is essential. Because without it, your choices are not your choices. They are the echoes of old patterns disguised as decisions. Every time you say yes to something that diminishes you, you're not making a casual mistake. You're revealing a belief about yourself. When you procrastinate, it isn't laziness. It is fear wearing a quiet mask. When you hold back your potential, it isn't weakness. It is a wounded part of you trying to protect itself. Every decision is a message from the deeper layers of your mind, pointing to something unresolved. And the strange thing is, life keeps repeating the same experiences until you make a different decision. Not because life is cruel, but because the unconscious is relentless in its attempt to make you aware. When you keep choosing people who hurt you, situations that drain you, paths that limit you, it is not coincidence. It is the unconscious pulling you back to the very place where healing is waiting. It is showing you something you have refused to see. Think about how many times you have asked, "Why does this always happen to me?" The answer is never comfortable, but it is always truthful. It happens because somewhere deep inside, you continue to choose from the same emotional blueprint. You keep responding from the same old version of yourself, and until you confront that blueprint, your destiny will continue to follow the same patterns, just with different faces, different places, different circumstances. But the moment you become aware, truly aware, everything shifts. Awareness gives you the ability to interrupt the automatic. It allows you to pause before repeating a cycle. It gives you the permission to choose something different, something higher, something aligned with the future you want, rather than the past you're escaping. Awareness does not instantly change your life, but it changes your direction. And direction, when followed consistently, changes everything. Your destiny does not require perfection. It requires conscious choice. It requires you to notice when fear is making the decision for you. It requires you to recognize when comfort is disguising itself as safety. It requires you to understand that the mind will always offer the easiest option, but the easiest option rarely leads to the version of yourself you dream about. You shape your future when you choose discomfort over stagnation. You shape your future when you honor your intuition instead of silencing it. You shape your future when you make decisions that match your potential rather than your past. Because every time you choose differently, even in the smallest way, you are rewriting the internal script that has silently been controlling your life. And this is where destiny becomes something astonishing. When you begin to make decisions from a place of awareness instead of fear, life responds. Doors that were once invisible begin to open. People who match your new frequency begin to appear. Opportunities that once seemed beyond your reach start moving toward you. And it's not magic, it's alignment. You are no longer choosing from survival. You are choosing from intention. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. The greatest tragedy is not that people fail, it's that they never realize the power they have had all along. They wait for clarity, for certainty, for the perfect moment. But clarity comes from movement, not hesitation. Certainty comes from commitment, not doubt. And the perfect moment arrives only after you decide to act. Your decisions are shaping every version of your future. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now in this moment. You are either reinforcing the patterns that limit you or creating the patterns that will liberate you, and the power to choose between the two has always been yours. Everything changes the moment you understand that your next decision could be the one that turns your entire life in a new direction. Every destiny has a doorway that only opens when you choose to walk toward discomfort instead of away from it. And this is where most people unknowingly shape the architecture of their lives, in the moments when they choose comfort over courage. You see, life doesn't punish you instantly for avoiding the difficult thing. It's far smarter than that. It waits, it watches. It lets you keep choosing the easy path, step by step, until one day you look up and realize you've built a life that doesn't belong to your potential, only your fears. And the most painful part of that realization is understanding that no one else built it for you. Every brick, every wall, every limitation was placed there by your own decisions, especially the ones you thought didn't matter. Because this is the truth. Destiny isn't created by dramatic, life-changing moments. It's shaped in the quiet, unseen decisions, those tiny points in time when nobody's watching, when no applause is waiting for you, when choosing the harder road feels unnecessary, maybe even foolish. That's where destiny is crafted, You don't become strong when you lift the heavy weight in public. You become strong when you decide not to quit on the days when lifting it feels pointless. You don't become wiser in a single breakthrough moment. You become wiser every time you choose reflection over reaction. You don't become the future version of yourself through chance. You meet them through discipline, through intention, through choosing the difficult truth over the comforting lie. And sometimes that difficult truth is this: the life you want demands a version of you that you've been avoiding. Your destiny requires sacrifice, and deep down, you know exactly what that sacrifice is. For some, it's letting go of people who drain their energy. For others, it's breaking patterns that feel familiar but keep them trapped. For many, it's finally facing the voice inside that whispers, "You're capable of more." And you know it, that whisper doesn't come from pressure, it comes from your future self calling you forward. And when you ignore it long enough, it doesn't go away. It becomes regret. Destiny is not random, and it is not something meant only for a select few. Destiny is simply the natural outcome of the choices you make repeatedly. If your choices come from fear, your destiny becomes a cage. If your choices come from awareness, from responsibility, from growth, your destiny becomes a path. And this is where things shift, because once you understand that every micro decision is shaping your direction, you begin to treat those moments with respect. You pay attention. You start noticing how often you choose distraction instead of discipline, how often you choose convenience instead of purpose, how often you choose temporary comfort instead of long-term fulfillment. But the moment you become aware of this pattern, something powerful happens. You reclaim ownership. You stop telling yourself, "This is just how life is," and start telling yourself, "This is what I'm choosing, and I can choose differently." That realization is transformative, because ownership gives you back the steering wheel, and once you're holding it, you can no longer pretend destiny is out of your hands. Every destiny has a cost, and the price is always the same: discomfort. Growth hurts. Letting go hurts. Discipline hurts. But there is a deeper pain, the pain of staying the same. And this is where your decision becomes everything. You must ask yourself, which pain are you choosing? The pain that leads forward, or the pain that keeps you stuck? Because both require something from you, but only one gives something back. To create your destiny, you must be willing to make choices that feel destructive to the old version of you. The truth is, creation always begins with destruction. You must destroy the habits that keep you small. You must destroy the excuses that keep you slow. You must destroy the identity built from fear, insecurity, procrastination, and replace it with one built from intention. That is what destiny asks of you, not luck, not talent, not timing, intention. And when you start choosing with intention, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities appear, not because they suddenly exist, but because your mind is finally awake enough to see them. People change, not because they become better or worse, but because your standards shift. Your environment evolves not through magic, but through the decisions you make about who you allow into your space, what you tolerate, and what you refuse to compromise anymore. This is when destiny stops being a distant concept and becomes a living reality. You feel it in how you walk, how you think, how you breathe. You feel it in the alignment between who you are and who you want to become. And the beautiful thing is this: once you take responsibility for your choices, you stop fearing the future, because you realize you're not walking toward a destiny, you're building it with every step. And so today, if you feel lost, confused, or uncertain, understand this one truth: you don't need clarity about the next 10 years. You only need clarity about your next decision. Make one strong choice, one brave choice, and destiny will shift its direction. One aligned decision can rewrite your path. One conscious moment can change your future. Because every decision you make is creating your destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the future isn't waiting on some miracle, nor on some perfect timing. It's waiting on them. And this is where so many people get stuck, because they're convinced that destiny arrives like a sudden lightning strike, a dramatic event, a moment when everything changes overnight. But that's not how life unfolds. Destiny doesn't come crashing into your world. It comes quietly, shaped by the decisions you make long before you ever see the results. The truth is, the universe responds to movement, not hesitation. It responds to intention, not confusion. It responds to courage, not fear disguised as patience. And that's why your future shifts the moment you stop standing still. Most people don't understand how dangerous hesitation truly is. They think waiting keeps them safe. They think delaying protects them from failure. They think staying where they are reduces the risk. But the reality is the opposite. Hesitation is the silent architect of regret. Every time you wait for the right moment, the moment passes. Every time you wait until you feel ready, the opportunity fades. Every time you wait for certainty, life moves forward without you. People think staying still keeps them in the same place, but staying still actually pulls them backward because life never stops moving. When you hesitate, you fall behind, not because you're incapable, but because you never allowed momentum to take your hand. Forward motion is one of the most powerful forces in the world, and it doesn't matter how small that motion is. A single step can change a lifetime. A single move can rewrite your trajectory. Taking the first step doesn't guarantee success, but refusing to take it guarantees nothing changes. And this is the tragedy many people live inside. The prison of what-ifs, the cage of almost, the slow suffocation of a life that never began because fear held the steering wheel. But something incredible happens when you finally decide that movement matters more than fear. Suddenly, your world begins to respond in ways you never expected. The moment you lean forward even slightly, life starts rearranging itself around your decision. People show up. Paths open. Ideas spark. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly become clear. And this shift doesn't happen because destiny magically aligns with you. It happens because your mind, your energy, your intention become aligned with destiny. Movement changes perception. When you move, your eyes open. When you move, possibilities reveal themselves. When you move, the world stops feeling impossible and starts feeling navigable. You cannot become your highest self while standing still, because your highest self exists on the other side of motion. And this is where the real transformation begins, not when you achieve your goals, but when you decide that your future deserves action, not excuses. Action doesn't just change results, it changes identity. When you take consistent steps, you stop seeing yourself as someone who dreams and start seeing yourself as someone who builds. You stop seeing obstacles as threats and start seeing them as challenges. You stop seeing failure as something to avoid and start seeing it as proof that you're alive and moving. Nothing is more dangerous to your destiny than waiting for the perfect moment. And nothing is more powerful for your destiny than choosing to create the moment instead. Movement also does something else, and something subtle but life-changing. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. When you move, you meet your fears. You meet your insecurities. You meet your doubts. And facing them is uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. Because once you look them in the eye, they lose their control over you. Most people aren't stuck because life is too hard. They're stuck because they never gave themselves the chance to discover how strong they actually are. You don't discover strength by thinking about it. You discover it by moving into situations that require it. This is why motion is the key to destiny. It turns potential into progress. It turns fear into clarity. It turns uncertainty into experience. Life is full of doors that will never open until you knock, and some that only open when you walk directly toward them. You don't need to know exactly where every step leads. You only need to know that standing still is not an option anymore. Every great destiny begins with a decision to move before the path is fully visible. You create the path by walking it. So right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. Continue letting hesitation shape your future, or take a single deliberate step toward the life you know you're meant to live. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for signs. The moment you move, the signs appear. The moment you shift, the universe shifts with you. Everything you want is on the other side of motion, and motion begins with you, because your destiny changes the second you do.